Guys, today I'm going to show you 5 ways you can make your riffs and your progressions more creative. Now, this is going to be kind of along the lines of songwriting and writing your own riffs and your own music, which you guys know I strongly encourage you to get into that. Whether you're a serious musician or it's just something you do as a hobby, doesn't matter. I highly encourage you to practice writing your own stuff, because nothing is more fulfilling than coming up with something cool on your own. So this is going to be helpful if that's something that you're interested in. Gonna jump right into this, but as always, I'll have something very special for you at the end of the video. That's just to encourage you to watch my entire video, but it will be something cool. The first, and this is probably not the easiest thing you can do, but I'm gonna show you an easy way to do it, is to implement key changes into your song. So listen to this riff. We're going to start out with just a really, not even really a riff, just a simple chord progression here. I'm going to play an E or E minor if we were being technical about what key we're in. We're in the key of E minor, but I'm going to play an E power chord followed by a C and a D. Now, real simple. So how do we implement a key change? How do we throw that in there? Because this is one of the things that can really spice up your music. I mean, it's just crazy what this simple technique can do. So one of the easiest things you can do, instead of coming up with a new progression or new riff or new part of the song to go into, is just mimic what you just did, but change the key that it's in, meaning play the same progression but in a different key. So I want you to listen to the change I'm going to make, and then I'll kind of break it down for you exactly what I'm doing here. So check this out. All I did was I took everything just a whole step up, which means I'm not in the key of E minor anymore. I'm not playing that E power chord. Instead, I'm starting with the F sharp. So we're in the key of F sharp minor. I'm playing the F sharp power chord. And then again, I'm just playing the same progression, but everything's a whole step up. So instead of the E to C to D, we're going F sharp to D to E. Okay, so one more time. Now, real quick before we go to the next method, one of the songs that comes to mind right away with key changes, and this song does exactly what we just did, but they do it several times, is Alice Cooper's Poison, which is one of my favorite all-time songs. I remember seeing that video on Headbangers Ball when MTV was cool back in the day. I'm like, oh wow, this is just a great song, great video, everything. Let's see if I remember how to play that. Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag me here, because I don't think it's really going to sound anything like the song, but I think they do 4 key changes here, something like this. Something like that. And one more thing on that, in order to see what chords fit together, because I know that's a question that comes to mind, I actually have another video on the Metal Mastermind channel that I co-own with Ken Candelas, and you guys know that's the platform for all of my guitar courses and all the other courses that we have. There's a video I have explaining how to use the circle of fifths to find out which chords fit together in a certain key, so I'll put it up there if you want to go check that out later. The second method, and again, these are just simple little things that you can do, is changing your picking technique. So we're going to stick with that same progression, that E, C, D. All I'm going to do though is I'm just going to change the way I pick that first chord. So I'll play it the normal way like we started out. I'll just play it one time just so you can kind of recall it there. So we're just palm muting that E. Let's do something different. Let's do something just a little bit different by changing the picking technique. I'm going to change to, let's say, since we're just playing downstrokes, let's throw some alternate picking in there. So let's see what we can do. Now, we went straight up from downstrokes to full-on alternate picking for that power chord, but what if we didn't want to do that? What if we said, well, I like it, but it's a little too much. How can we integrate a little bit of both? Maybe let's change our picking technique to a little bit of downstrokes and a little bit of alternate picking. Let's change it into what we call gallops. So let's hear what that sounds like. There we kept both picking techniques. We still changed from the original, just a slight change. We kept that downstroke in there, but then we had that gallop where it was just a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 fast, what I call a quick pick. It's that really snappy technique. Now I explained some picking techniques in a video up here, and it includes the galloping technique as well. So if you want to check that out later, I'll just throw it up here for you. But again, that's just some really easy ways that you can change things up so it doesn't sound the same over and over again. Maybe you play it the normal way the first time around, then when you get to the second part of that part of the song, let's call that the verse, okay? When you get to the second part, then you change the picking technique. So you kind of got the best of both worlds, which that's a really cool Van Halen song. I think that's off the 5150 album. This third method I'm going to share with you is one of my absolute favorites, and it's just a really cool way to make your song sound different, just bring it more life and give it more character. And I've shared this in multiple videos. Of course, I have a lot of this in my Metal Riff Master course as well, because again, it's just one of my absolute favorite techniques. Very simple. Instead of playing the normal power chords, play a variation of the power chord. You guys know a power chord is just your root note followed by the fifth note. It's played at the same time, right? That's your power chord. Well, why not change that fifth note to a third note or something else? So listen to how different this sounds when I play it, okay? Here's the difference. I'll play the normal power chords. All we did was change the way we played the C and the D. Here's the difference. I'm going to play them both back to back. Again, all I did there was I played the root and the third note instead of the root and the fifth note. Okay, so for example, the C power chord, now I am on a 7-string here, so don't get confused by if I'm playing a chord here, you're like, wait a minute, you're not in the right spot. No, it's because I'm playing a 7-string. So our A and D strings, frets 3 and 5. Instead, we're playing frets 3 and 2. So that's one way to spice up your power chords and just kind of spice up the progression a little bit. Now, one thing I want to kind of go back to when you first heard me playing this riff in the beginning, and in method number 1 we're talking about, I think I was playing the power chords a little different there too, and it just now dawned on me that I was doing that. I played what I call like a heavier version of the power chord, which is kind of like integrating an inverted power chord in here as well. So instead of this, I played this. Sounds a little bit heavier. There's a little bit more meat in that. Now I'm kind of hungry. What I'm doing is I'm actually barring the lower 5th octave, okay, of that power chord. So for example, let's take our C power chord. A and D strings, frets 3 and 5. Well, I'm not starting with that first note there. I'm not starting with that A string 3rd fret. I'm actually barring that with the E string 3rd fret. So that gives you that inverted power chord if you're only playing those two notes there, but we're making it a C power chord here. So we're playing three notes, the lower octave of the fifth note, the root note, then the fifth note. Okay, so you get this sound. Now we just talked about octaves when I was talking about that last type of power chord that we're playing with the power chord variations, but I want to address octaves again because this is another really cool way that you can make your riffs and progressions far more creative. So let's go back to our chord progression here, our E, then our C, and our D. So we don't have to play those chords in those positions. We don't have to play this. One way you could do that, one way you could change that is don't play the quote-unquote heavy E there. Play the E on the A and D string. Start there instead, which is your, what is that, your 7th and 9th frets on the A and D string. So check this out. So we just played that E an octave higher, okay? So you hear the difference between the two. And what if you combine those together? I like to kind of throw these little things in there as well, because sometimes when you take one technique, say I want to use this, but I want to use this too. Well, combine them like this. Now, the cool thing I can do since I'm on a 7 string, I can play my C and D an octave lower. Check this out. Okay, so that's pretty cool. You can integrate some of that. For example, let's say, let's play the riff in A minor. I want to show you one more before we go to the fifth method I want to share with you here. Let's change everything over to A minor. Let's say we're playing that progression in A minor. Normally, you would do something like this. So I want to play that F and the G after the A minor. I want to play that an octave higher. So we'll be playing that on the D and the G strings. Now this is going to give us more of a 80s metal vibe. Listen to this. So that was a completely different sound than the lower F and the G. And again, this is just another way, another strategy that you can implement to make your riffs and your progressions more creative sounding. Now, the final thing you can do to make your riffs sound more creative is to add what I like to call, we're basically going to be playing riffs, but to add like bridge notes, what I call bridge notes. And what we're doing is we're kind of building a bridge from one chord to another. So let's go back to our E minor progression here, or E, C, and D power chords, okay? I'm going to play it the normal way, but I'm going to add a little, again, what I call a bridge between that E and going to those next power chords. So just listen to the second time around when I play this. All I did is what I call a little walk up there. So we played that E power chord. now we're really getting into some riffing, which is really what I want you guys to do when you're writing music. You know, I want you to add those little riffs, but I like these little bridge pieces. It's not complicated at all. It's just 2 notes, but it kind of helps bridge that together. It gives it a little bit more substance, if you will. Now, you don't have to do that every time. What if we did it every other time, like this? Just another simple thing that you can add. Now you can take that concept and of course apply that anywhere in between any chords, okay? So let's maybe try to apply that little bridge between the C and the D. I have no clue what I'm about to play, but we're gonna make something up. So let's see what we can come up with here. So that was a little bit more involved there. I kind of used that same type of pattern on some other stuff that I've been writing lately, but all I'm doing there is, again, we're going from a C to a D, but I'm just adding a little bridge. Yeah, it's a riff. That's really all it is a riff. I kind of think of it as a bridge because we're building that bridge to go to that next destination, if you will. So what I'm doing here, I'll show this to you real quick. Okay, so I'm not even ending on the D power chord. I'm just ending on a D note there. But I'm playing that C power chord, and then what I'm doing is playing the open A string, take everything off, play the open A string, then I'll go down to the 5th fret, same string, I'll slide up to 7, dun 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 dun, and I'll go back to the 5th note there, okay? I'll say this, it feels great to be playing my 7 string again, like a lot. I've been playing this all the time lately. This is the ESP E2 Horizon FR7, by the way, and those of you who have been following me for a while, you guys know I've kind of struggled with the 7, kind of back and forth, had like a kind of a weird relationship with it over the past 3.5 years. You know, I bought it after playing 6-string guitars for 30 years, 30 plus years of my life, and it was just hard to get used to. Of course, I recorded the album Masterpiece with it. I've already recorded a lot of the guitar tracks for my upcoming album Overcometh, which will hopefully be released in early 2022. This really had nothing to do with this video lesson here that I just gave you. I just kind of wanted to point that out. It just feels really good to be playing it. I've rekindled my relationship with my 7. So real quick, guys, I want to talk a little bit more about the importance of, you know, being creative, which that's an obvious thing, but the importance of some of these methods that we went over here. Before I do that, if you don't have my Metal Riff Master course, if you're not in that, I encourage you to get into that course. There's a link in the description. I know I briefly touched on that earlier in one of the methods that we talked about here. I actually give you a bonus module on riff writing in that course, so that's something you definitely want to get into. I know some of you already have that course. If you have that course, there's also a songwriting course they have called Metal Songwriters Forge that I co-created with Ken Candelas. He's an engineer, a drummer, keyboardist, composer, and he is, of course, my partner for the Metal Mastermind platform, which a lot of you already know about. So those links will be in the description of this video, so definitely check those out. Now, these methods we went over, I tried to keep them very simple. You guys know, a lot of times I don't put a lot of complex stuff in my videos. Sometimes I feel like guitar players are trying to show out more than they're trying to show you how to do something. And more importantly, I like to show you how to integrate that, how to actually use it into a song, into songwriting or riff writing, into your progressions and that sort of thing. Hopefully that makes sense. But I've watched so many guitar videos, you know, where I know the guitar player is great, and hey, okay, that's great, you're at that level, but they're not really showing you how to implement it, right? So a lot of my videos, I won't really show out so much because it's really not about me, it's about you. So on that note, if there's anything you don't understand or don't grasp in this video or any of my videos, please leave a comment, let me know, because my goal is not really to show you, well, how great Jason can play. Look what I can do. I always use that Stuart from Mad TV. You know, nobody's paying attention to him, so he just does something crazy. Look what I can do. I'm not about all that. I mean, you guys know my skill level. I'm not claiming to be the most awesome guitar player on the universe, right? But, you know, I feel like I'm accomplished. I have albums out there that speak for that and so forth. But my job is not really to show you, you know, I need to demonstrate to you that I can do these things, right? So I try to do that, like the intro to this video, you know, a little bit more complexity there. But the goal, kind of going back to this, the goal is not really for me to write complex riffs either. Yeah, some stuff is cool and a little bit more complex. It's like, okay, well that was cool. But that's not really my goal, to write music just for guitar players to appreciate, because sometimes when you get overly complex, well, the only person that's going to appreciate your music is, well, just guitar players. Guys, I want you to be able to write riffs and write progressions that speak not necessarily to the masses, because metal music is not really a popular genre, and I don't know that it ever should be. Who cares, right? But you want to be able to reach those people that like metal music but may not necessarily care that the riffs are overly complex. Sometimes the overly complex stuff can turn people off a little bit. It's like, okay, well, it's not really jiving with me. I can't really relate to that sort of thing. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up as you're thinking about these things that we went over today, these 5 methods, to be more creative with writing riffs, with writing progressions, and even if you're learning other people's music, because I know that's how we start out. Let's say you learn a Metallica song or whatever, a Judas Priest song. Well, what if you integrate some of these things that we did in the video to that song? It kind of twists the song a little bit. It kind of starts making it your own. And then who knows what you come up with after that. You may end up playing something, or creating something rather, based on this song that you learned, but you integrated these methods that we talked about, changing things up here and there. Then it becomes something that doesn't even sound like what you learned. That is exciting, and that's why I made this video for you guys. So again, guys, if there's any questions that you have, please leave those in the comments. I appreciate all of you. Don't forget to check out the links in the description of this video. Got a lot of good stuff in there for you. Guys, until the next video, well, real quick, please like this video. YouTube likes when you like my videos, and make sure you're subscribed. That kind of stuff really helps my channel grow, and I truly appreciate that. You guys know this is part of what I do for a living now. So until the next video, you guys know exactly what to do. What is that? Keep it metal.